2016 if their fans cause any more trouble. The warning follows savage attacks on England supporters at the game in Marseille last weekend. Russian, English and Welsh fans are now gathering in Lille ahead of matches this week, and tension is already rising. From there, Neil Connery reports.
Lille had been bracing itself, and this evening, as tens of thousands of fans flood into this city, tensions are boiling over. A major security operation is now underway to keep fans apart. And this is what the authorities are desperate to stop. Russian hooligans attacking their way through the streets of Marseille at the weekend, filming themselves as they set upon their victims. The violent scenes inside the stadium, where England fans suffered at the hands of Russian gangs, today led to UEFA giving Russia a suspended disqualification. Any further trouble inside stadiums will mean Russia is thrown out of Euro 2016. Some England fans arriving in Lille, who found themselves targeted by Russians in Marseille, told me they're fearful it could happen again here.
Just a little apprehensive really as to what could potentially go on, because you can't trust police anything around here.
I stay out of the big areas at night time, but when they're just sort of ambushing you and just coming out of nowhere, then there's nothing you can do about that really.
A bus full of Russian supporters was stopped by police heading for Lille today. 29 Russians identified as involved in the weekend's violence are now being deported. The head of the British policing team here told me he fears there's always the potential for a repeat of the weekend's violence here in Lille.
I think you've still got individuals with the mindset and willingness to perpetrate really serious violence. I think probably the change is now that everyone is absolutely aware of it, the French, everyone else, ourselves.
This evening on Lille streets, a growing sense of foreboding about the next 48 hours here. Well, a small number of confrontations already this evening, mainly around the railway station. There is a heavy police presence there. The French authorities know after Marseille that they have to show they've got a grip on this, and very quickly indeed. There is going to be an alcohol ban that will kick in here later on tonight through until Friday, but I think we are in for a difficult few days here in Lille.
All right, Neil, thank you very much indeed. The wife of the gunman who killed 49 people at a gay club in Orlando has told investigators she tried to talk him out of the terror attack. Noor Salman also revealed she drove husband Omar Mateen to the nightclub on previous occasions. Today, survivors of the massacre gave ITV News more details about the horror that unfolded inside. From Orlando, our correspondent Robert Moore reports.
Ms. Salman, did you know your husband is a terrorist?
Hidden from view, the gunman's wife has revealed she knew her husband might target the Orlando nightclub. Noor Salman told police she tried to dissuade him. An eyewitness has revealed to us today just how frighteningly methodical Omar Mateen's conduct was that night. Samuel survived by hiding under a table, watching the gunman fire at his helpless victims on the ground.
I guess he wanted it to make sure that they were dead, because I can see that he was literally going, bah, 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 and they were already in the ground. And you can see their body just jump up and down.
A woman lying next to him was screaming, drawing the attention of the gunman.
I literally needed to just cover her mouth as strong as I could so he would not hear that there were other people there and still alive.
Otherwise he would have discovered you?
Correct, because I can see his feet, his sneakers. And there were these bodies already on the floor, and he was still pointing at them and shooting at them. I can see that. I will never forget that. I would never forget that.
You've lost a large number of friends.
10.
I could see his face, yeah. A face of evil.
Jose Colom saw Mateen shoot his way into the nightclub.
Did he move in a kind of determined way?
He moved in a military move. Looking at the scope of the rifle. So you can see he had training. He hardly missed a shot.
His anger is raw.
If ISIS wants to come in here and terrorize me as an Hispanic person, you tell them that I'm ready to fight them anytime, anywhere where they want. If they want to bring the war to us, we gotta bring the war to them.
Amid fears of copycat attacks, investigators believe this massacre was a blend of homophobic hate crime and jihadi-inspired terrorism.
For law enforcement, tracking down every potential lone wolf attacker is clearly an impossible task. And with so much weaponry so easily accessible, the FBI fully understands that what happened here in Orlando could be duplicated anywhere in America. Robert Moore, ITV News, Orlando.
And it's been revealed that a man who killed a French police couple and claimed allegiance to Islamic State had a hit list of VIP targets in France. La Rossi-Abala said in an online video that he was following the militant group's call for lone wolf attacks during Ramadan. Prosecutors say his targets included musicians, journalists, other police officers and public officials. Investigators are questioning 3 others over the double murder. Here, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn took centre stage today as he urged his party supporters to vote to stay in the EU. With the odds tightening, there's a growing fear among the Remain camp that they could lose. The concern was reflected on the stock market today, with shares falling to their lowest level for 4 months. Our political correspondent Libby Vina reports.
Jeremy Corbyn may have struggled to get noticed in this referendum campaign, or even in his own photo call. But today he made his most forceful intervention yet, saying the economic shock of leaving would damage the NHS.
A vote to leave is a vote that will put the NHS in jeopardy, in the hands of those who want to break it up and end it as a service free at the point of use.
But has Labour left it all far too late?
You're not worried, though, that it's going to go the other way come the 23rd?
We're campaigning very hard and we're very happy and very confident. Thank you for coming today.
Confident? Well, polls today suggest that Leave is in the lead, the city taking fright at that, with £30 billion wiped off shares in trading. Leave campaigners are still promising to put more money into the NHS.
All we're saying is that there's a massive opportunity here to take back control of huge sums of money, some of which could be spent on the NHS.
Unison's leader says such talk isn't credible.
It's an outright lie. It will not happen. These people do not believe in our National Health Service, and they will turn it into something that we do not recognise.
A show of unity for Remain from Labour's leaders today, but how much difference will it really make? Libby Vina, ITV News, Westminster.
The father of Riva Steenkamp broke down in tears today as he told a court Oscar Pistorius must be jailed for murdering her. He must pay, he said. Barry Steenkamp said he's forgiven the athlete for shooting his daughter, but that did not exonerate him. Our Africa correspondent John Ray was in court.
3 years since his daughter's murder, still the grief is raw.
Every day of my life, morning, noon, at night, early hours of the morning, I think of her all the time.
Nor can Barry Steenkamp forget the moment he heard the devastating news.
And that's when I started the panic. I realised more and more Riva's been killed. It hit me then. It's like it happened yesterday.
In weeks of court hearings, this was the first time he'd spoken.
She must have been in so much fear and pain. That is what I think of all the time.
He said he'd forgiven his daughter's killer, but then speaking directly to him, added this.
He has to pay for his crime.
The most important voice that won't be heard here belongs to Oscar Pistorius himself. Too traumatised to testify, says his team, and yet it's his future that's at stake.
John Ray, ITV News, Pretoria.
And finally, forget about a barbecue summer for now, because bookies have stopped taking bets on June being the wettest on record. And I don't blame them. This was the scene in Tipton in the West Midlands today as further flash floods hit the UK. Residents were told not to step into water because of a missing manhole cover. There are severe weather warnings in place for many parts of Britain. And the weather forecast is next. Tom Bradby's back at 10, but from me, have a very good evening.